Welcome back to Don's Life. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining today. We are installing a much needed dash cam sent over by Thinkware. This is the Q800 Pro on this 2022 Cadillac Escalade Sport Platinum. Let's go. Before we get into the installation, let's look at the camera a little closer, as well as the accessories it comes with. Okay, here's the camera and a bunch of the accessories. You notice it's slim design. That's because it doesn't have a screen. It has 2K resolution, which is twice the pixel count of 1080p. That's 1440p recording at 30 frames per second. For optics, it uses the QHD Sony Exmor-R Starvis sensor. It has a 140-degree wide viewing angle. It does loop recording, meaning it'll record right to the end of the memory card's capacity and then start recording over the files that are already there in that order. You can protect certain files, you can set priority to certain types of files to stay recorded and not lose them. We'll get into that a little later when we look at the app and some of the features that you can set. It has a built-in GPS antenna. It has Wi-Fi and cloud capabilities. You can check geolocation, set up geofencing, but again, that's all app-based that you need to set up in advance. It does have a G-Shock sensor built in, so if the vehicle senses an impact at different sensitivity levels, it'll start recording. It has Night Vision 2.0, which improves all low light recording. The memory card that it comes with is a 32 gig. You can upgrade it up to 128 gigabyte. It records audio, and it also has integrated thermal protection. Because of the resolution, it should be just fine for reading license plates, signs, that type of thing. It does have that parking mode feature, so depending on how we wire it up, and if we decide to set parking mode on, it can constantly watch your vehicle when it's in a parked state, but it will consume some battery power doing that. It's 2-channel capable, so it does have an auxiliary camera with this kit, which we will hook up through the USB cord that's provided. It's a 7-meter cable, and then it hooks up to this camera, which in this vehicle we're going to put in the back window area, looking out the back window, and this will be forward facing. It does do continuous recording. The files are broken up into 1-minute segments. You can also set up incident continuous recordings, as well as you can do manual capture. So if I push this button here, it will manually capture whatever just happened that you want to record. It'll keep the 10 seconds before and the 50 seconds after, so 1 minute. This camera does feature speed camera alerts and red light camera alerts as well. You may have noticed I have a fuse tap here. This is an accessory you can buy separately. Depending on your vehicle, you may have different sizes of fuse taps that can be used. The only reason I'm using this is because of the hardwire kit. I need to be able to give it constant power, and I don't want to solder in or splice into any wires that are pre-existing. So this will just use an existing fuse, and the existing fuse will go there, and then my auxiliary fuse for this will go in that location. And then you can do that for the remote wire, and then the ground is pretty straightforward. If you don't want to do any of that, you can just use the 12-volt socket adapter that's included, and then you can use some of these adhesive clips to kind of manage the cable and keep it out of the way. I do like that it has a quick release, so it does come with this attachment here. It slides on the bottom of the camera, or the top I suppose. You clip it into place, that goes on your windshield. Once it's on there, if you need to get it off, you can just slide it off like that and it'll drop down. We also have the micro SD card reader here. I'm going to be honest, for me, just because of the time it takes to download a file through a Wi-Fi connection, and this goes for most dash cams, it's painfully slow. I'm the type of guy who just pops out the card, puts it in here, puts it in my computer, and I get the files that I need much quicker. Okay, let me just give you a quick rundown of how I'm choosing to install it on this vehicle here. Again, I'm using the hardwire kit, but let me explain how I'm going to mount it, how I'm going to run the wires, and depending on the vehicle you're installing on, it might be very similar or it could be quite a bit different. So you might want to look into that before you just start ripping everything apart and getting started. Okay, so mounting location. Okay, so where to mount it, you have a few choices. They tell you in the manual to put it somewhere in the middle here, which is fine. I don't like how it looks there with this vehicle specifically. So what I'm choosing to do, and because this truck is a little taller than most vehicles, I like to have it up here so I can see further down to the lower vehicles and see those license plates. When you're in a low vehicle, having it somewhere in the middle here is fine because it's looking straight ahead at the license plate, really just in front of its hood. But on a higher vehicle like this, having it up higher with a little bit of a down angle actually has its advantages. So that's why we're going to put it here. I'm choosing the driver's side because the cables then will be kind of concealed here when I push them up in the headliner. And then the camera is offset from center, probably about 8-9 inches. That's fine. With the 140-degree viewing angle, I'm not too worried if I'm getting to see a little more on the left side of the road than the right. I'm still gonna be able to see the entire vehicle, and I'm just fine with that. Okay, so now we know where the camera's gonna go. We just have to figure out the wiring. Pretty simple. We're gonna have the USB cable that goes to the back of the vehicle for the back camera, and we're gonna have our hardwiring kit, which needs to make its way to this fuse panel location here. So really, we're gonna just run these wires tucked up in the headliner. I'm going to remove this overhead console. It's easy. There's just a bezel in here that you pull out, and then there's 2 screws, and then it pops right down. That'll allow me to grab those wires and fish them through the top of this headliner a little easier. And what most people don't know is it's very easy, and this is pretty much the same on most vehicles. This weather stripping, you just pull it out easily like this. Once you get it in there, then you just put the headliner weather stripping back and you're good to go. With the power wire though, we've got to go down this way to the fuse panel. I've already mapped out the fuse locations where there's going to be a constant fuse circuit and there's going to be an accessory fuse circuit. We want to hook up both of those, as well as a ground location. I've already tested it. There's a bolt back here that has a proper ground. So we're going to run all the power into this area here. Every vehicle may be a little different. Again, I'm choosing to use fuse taps so I don't have to splice into anything. So make sure you look into that first before you decide if hardwiring is the way you want to go. Otherwise, you can plug it into the 12-volt accessory. I have one down here if I wanted to use that. But I also want to make sure that I have that constant power, which not every 12-volt adapter has. So when we use parking mode, we can have power to the camera to capture any incidents when it's parked and no one's around. Okay, we got everything hooked up. The camera is working properly. We got the rear camera working. We've got everything pointed the way that we want. I chose on the back camera to hook it up inside behind the hatch. I didn't want it on the hatch because there was no real good spot to put it except on the glass. So I found that where the courtesy light was, there was a nice flat mounting spot there, and it looks out the window nicely. So we're gonna go get you some daytime footage, later some nighttime footage, just so you can see the quality and that type of thing. And then we will go through the app and show you some of those features. Let's go. Okay, we're gonna do a little test here of the speed camera alert. Let's see if it works.
Mobile speed camera zone. Speed camera in 600 meters. Speed limit is 90 kilometers per hour.
There's the camera.
Mobile speed camera zone. Speed camera in 600 meters. Speed limit is 90 kilometers per hour.
All right, we're gonna do a quick review of the app. So I'm connected right now to the dash cam. The vehicle's in accessory mode. We can go to live view and we can check out our various camera point of views. So right now, here's the front. We can turn our phone. You can see a larger screen that way. And then we can look at our rear camera. Again, mine's inset in the vehicle a little bit. So if there was a would-be thief looking through the back window, I would see them very clearly in that back window. So we'll leave there. I'll show you some of the other options. You have your file list here. It organizes them depending on the nature of the recording. So whether it be something that happened when you were in parking mode, whether it be something to do with the motion detection you might have had on, whether it was just some of the continuous footage that was recording, or if it was a manual recording where you pushed the button and it locked that footage and allowed you to relook at it later. We can also go and look at all of the dash cam settings. Now there are a ton here. So everything to do with your memory card is here. You can set up the priority when it comes to which footage would be deleted or overwritten as it fills up the memory card and has to start over, that loop recording. You can choose what's going to be recorded over and what isn't. You can go into the camera settings here and adjust the brightness for the front and the rear camera, as well as flip the orientation of the rear camera depending on how you had to have it mounted. Ours is all set up now. Our record settings, you can see here that there's a lot. I think one of my favorite features in here is the battery protection. If I have parking mode enabled, which I do, it will sense the voltage to wherever I set it. In this case, 12 volts is the threshold. It won't allow the car's battery to drop below 12 volts. And if it senses that it will, it's going to shut it off because it's set at 12 volts. I can set it higher or lower. I'm going to leave it at 12. And you can also do this for 24 volt systems. So if you drive an 18 wheeler, like a big rig, a semi, that type of thing, which uses a different voltage system in most cases. And then we have this wintertime battery protection, so we can pick which months are the winter months for the climate that we live in, where it needs to be extra sensitive to look after your battery there. Here's where you would also set up your night vision on if you wanted that setting on all the time or just certain modes. Really good options for the recordings. For the road safety, you can have the safety camera alerts, which we demoed already. Mobile zone alerts, which if you're in an area that is known to have photo radar, but maybe there's not a static one that's always there, it'll give you those warnings as well. And then we have SUV for the vehicle type already picked. There's sedans, other types of vehicles, that type of thing, because that's going to help with the following options that are here, which have more to do with driver safety. So forward collision warning system, lane departure warning. Our vehicle does a great job at those things already, so I don't have any of them turned on, nor did I demo them, but it does use the camera and the type of vehicle you're in to help sense distance and obstacles that may be there that you're not seeing when you go to switch lanes or get too close to somebody in front of you. And the camera will just speak to you with those warnings. We'll go back from there. And then you go to system settings. So we have English for the language. Here's something that I'll probably eventually put to 0. The problem is that means there's no more voice coming out of the dash cam to warn me about speed zones or speed traps, that type of thing. If you have it on 1 though, all of the warnings that can possibly come up get talked about in length. And I think after a while that might get annoying. So I'm going to leave it on the lowest volume setting, maybe not 0 yet, but we'll see what happens. And then you can have the LEDs blinking on either of the cameras as a security feature. Right now they're both off. And then there's some of the basic things that you would expect on any dash cam. Your speed in, metric or imperial, if you want the speed overlaid onto your footage. And then do you want it to record audio with the video as it's recording, which right now we have turned on. And then last but not least, you have your network functions. This has more to do with if you have your cloud services enabled and you have either your phone set up as a hotspot to share a data plan with the camera, or maybe your vehicle has a hotspot, it can share its data plan with the camera. It will take the footage and upload it to the cloud, as well as you can set it if it'll just be maybe a strong impact, and that will send it to the cloud. You set it up how you want. There's a lot of options there, including an account that you can set up. I'm not interested in taking advantage of these services right now. But they are there. Definitely look into them if it's something you want to do, because it has it and might be a benefit to some of you. We don't have the best data plans in Canada, so I could see something like this continuously uploading to the cloud, taking away my data plan pretty quickly. So there you go. There's a quick overview of the app. We'll get some nighttime footage for you, and then we'll wrap up this video.
Continuous recording will now start. On your smartphone, connect to a Wi-Fi network whose name starts with Thinkware. GPS connected.
Okay, dash cam's installed. We got you footage. We went over a bunch of the features. I want to summarize this for you with just a few of the dislikes that I have and then the main likes that I have. So some of the dislikes: 1, if you're looking at the files on your phone through the app, they're just file names, no thumbnails. It's a little bit tedious to try and find maybe the footage that you're looking for. I find the audio speaking out of the camera for certain things, I wish you could turn it off, but then keep it on for important things like speed cameras and that type of thing. It doesn't seem to be something that you can select. It's either on or off with different volume levels. The last thing is the resolution is okay. I mean, it's 2K, it's not bad, it's better than 1080p, but I think it could be a little sharper, but all in all, I'm satisfied with it. So the main thing is that I definitely like the slim design. I know that without a screen, it tends to be a slim design for most dash cameras. I do really like that about this unit. I think it looks great. And to get access to the files, you can use the app pretty easily. Or what I like to do is I just like popping the card out and putting it in the computer and get what I need. Seems quicker for me that way. One of my favorite features is the battery protection. The fact that you can set it to whatever battery voltage you want to make sure that your vehicle is not going to drop below a certain charge level and keep your battery working to start your vehicle the next day, I think is a top-notch feature. So good on you, Thinkware. Well, that's it. If you want to get yourself a Thinkware dash cam, maybe the Q800 Pro like I'm holding in my hands here, I'll leave a link in the description below. Thanks again, Thinkware, for sending it out for us to try. And if you liked today's video, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. We'll talk to you next time.